Hello and welcome to Active Bryant Fitness Systems, and this video is all about the beverages I drink, like water, all the different types of teas, coffees, and what I found to be the best and the sweeteners I use in which to keep super healthy and stick to my Chek principles. So first of all, every morning I have, not every morning, but you have to rotate your teas. I have a matcha tea, yeah? Or I might have a man tea, there we go, man tea. Or I'll have a chaga tea, which I really love. Then at night, I have valerian tea, 2 tea bags in a cup. And then I have a pucker tea, if I've got a bit of pucker tea, free cinnamon. If I have like if I'm feeling a bit panicky or a bit like stressed, seems to relax me and really chill me out just before I go, not just before I go to bed, about 7 o'clock. The sugar I use is this stevia, one of them, but the main one I like to use all the time is this Greek honey, and it's raw and it's not really expensive. It's like £6. Whereas the other one that's raw that Whole Foods sells, it's very clear. And it makes me think, has it been highly processed? And it's £12. So I decided to buy the cheaper one that looks like it actually comes from a beehive, not being highly processed. And it's cost effective as well, because I only have a little bit in each cup of tea. Now, I stopped coffee for 2 years and I didn't really miss it. And I've thrown the bag out, but I'm going to buy it again. There is some mycotoxin-free coffee that you can get on Amazon, which is really nice. Obviously, it's caffeine-free. So if I get a client that's craving coffee and they're a bit of a coffee-holic, then I'll suggest that they try that coffee. And they say, yeah, it satisfies the cravings, but they're not getting the caffeine buzz, And that's one thing about all these teas. Another tea is the Pal Darko tea there, is that they're all caffeine free. And I decided to go completely caffeine free. And I do feel a lot better. And I believe that they put caffeine in the tea, especially PG tips and crap like that, is to keep you hooked. And I know people or clients that was drinking PT tips and all that, and they're drinking like 8 or 9 a day. But they don't realise they're drinking so much because they're watching the telly or doing the housework or doing stuff, and they'll make a tea, then another cup of tea. And then some people don't realise that they're in adrenal fatigue and they're so tired. So they'll be drinking huge amounts of tea or coffee in which to keep their energy normal. And it's the caffeine doing it. So when you stop caffeine, you will get a headache. You may lose a couple of inches on your waist. I've seen that with clients. It takes a while for the energy systems to rebalance, and you'll find your energy will be normal. You won't have headaches. A lot of people get headaches from caffeine and don't even realise it. And then the other thing that you get from caffeine is dehydration. So if your stools are like little rabbit pellets, or they're really hard and compacted when you pass, that's showing that you're quite dehydrated in your bowel and you're not drinking enough water or enough good fluids. Okay, so a lot of people say to me, Scott, drinking 2 litres of water a day is really boring. Well, add some mint essence, add some oils to it, like what we got here. You could add, say, some tea tree oil to it, like one drop of tea tree oil, which will help kill fungus and other stuff. So it don't necessarily have to be boring. But then what you'll find is that if you're drinking tap water, it's full of carcinogens, like cancer-causing problems. And you're drinking your girlfriend's sanitary towel. And you're drinking your next-door neighbour's Coke habit. And this has all been proven. It's all found in the water. And then they're putting high amounts of, what is it called? Not mercury, fluoride, putting high amounts of fluoride in the water as well. So the fluoride is damaging your third eye, as well as damaging you in general. And the government said last year that they're doubling up the amount of fluoride in like the water. And it's the same when you go swimming now. You should not go swimming in any sea in England. They're dumping so much sewage into the sea that the chances of you getting some sort of horrible disease or a bug infection is ginormous. So now, I've not been swimming for years, but I do like swimming. So I'm thinking of going back. But you've got to be careful because of 80% of what you put on the body, your body drinks, because your skin is the biggest detoxifying organ in the body. So if you're swimming in a swimming pool that's full of chlorine, can you see how it's going to wipe things out? And there was a Czech practitioner that I knew that had his gallbladder taken out. And it was because he was an Olympic, he was some sort of competition swimmer, and he was swimming like 4 or 5 times a week. And they had to cut his gallbladder out. And he was only in his mid-20s, you know what I mean? So I feel really sorry for him. Especially with what's gone on the last 2 years as well. That's probably really affected him like it's affected everyone. So really important, when you're coming off of caffeine, you're going to get headaches, you're going to feel crappy. And it's the same with sugar. To come off of sugar takes 4 days to come off of sugar. And when you come off of sugar, your heart rate will go down. So if you've got an elevated heart rate and you're on sugar, it will come down. And if I was to release your diaphragm and you come off of sugar, your blood pressure will come down and your heart rate will come down. It will normalise. So having huge amounts of caffeine in your system is not a good idea. And then the other thing is that if you're drinking caffeine after 3 o'clock, it's jacking up your system so you can't sleep fully at night. Does that make sense? So green tea is high in caffeine, but these have got no caffeine in them. They're all caffeine free. So I wouldn't drink anything with caffeine in it. Sometimes I have a hot chockey when I'm out and about, but that's my 20%. You know, 80% you live as much as you possibly can, and then 20%, 20% you can get away with, and you want to have a life as well. So the other beverage I bought yesterday was some wild organic grass-fed milk, non-processed, non-pasteurized. So I bought a load of this and I put it's 2 litres, and I put 1 in the freezer because I absolutely love it. You know, it's much better tasting than the pasteurized crap. And obviously, if you read the book Milk the Deadly Poison, which I read, then I lent it to a client. This is why I don't lend books out anymore, and never got it back. In that book, I think it's about 140 quid to buy now. But in that book, it states about the hormones that they inject the cows with to make them grow faster crosses into the blood-brain barrier of a human and crosses into the body. So if that cow was jacked up with too much growth hormone because of the vet's got it wrong, or he was drunk on that day, the chances of it getting into your system is huge. So that's why pasteurized milk is really bad. And the reason why they pasteurized it wasn't for health reasons. They pasteurized it so it lasts longer on the shelves, so people buy more. You know, I've got a mate and he's in his 60s and he's drinking raw milk because it's good for your calcium or your bones and stuff like that. But really, should we be drinking it as adults when we only breastfeed for so long as a baby? I think it is. A lot of people like the taste, and you want higher calcium levels for your bones as you get older. And some calcium supplements are not as good as having the raw thing. Does that make sense? It's the same with, you know, amino acids out of 1 piece of steak is huge. So for muscle growth, you know, eggs and steak is maybe better than, or is better than having an amino acid supplement. But in the stuff that I've learned recently, if you have 20 grams of amino acids over a 4-week period, you can gain up to 9 pounds of muscle. So they're saying that you can gain 7 pounds naturally a year, and then another 9 by having pure BCAAs. And some companies do pure BCAAs without any fillers, craps, cracking agent, and all that stuff in the product. Does that make sense? So I did that back in the pandemic when I was 11 stone and I needed to get my weight back up to 15, 14 stone. I'm now 16, which I'm really happy with. My arms are 18. You can still see my six pack. So I'm happy about that. And that's a good gauge of how low your body fat levels are. I'm going to go down to 14 now, but I'm not in a panic. I'm not in stressing myself about how I'm going to do it. Does that make sense? I've done it with lots of people and done it myself. I went down to 13 and a half, looked really good. Went up to 14, looked really good. Went up to 16, looked a bit puffy in the face, but the muscle mass was more thicker, more denser. Does that make sense? So I'm a bit of a muscle Mary, which is a bit comical. My close friends call me a muscle Mary, which is quite funny. But I like having a lot of muscle. And now they're saying in the science, the longevity books and everything else that I've studied, the more you hold on to your muscle, the longer you will live. And the more, like I'm in my 50s, I'm 52, the younger you feel. And that's why when you see C.H.E.K doing his 1 rep max or doing a deadlift session, he's like, "Way, I'm all fired up," because testosterone is released a bit more. You feel stronger, you feel vital compared to feeling weak and feeble and going into old man syndrome, you know? Like my neighbour, he just ripped his calf muscle and he goes walking everywhere. "Oh, I'm staying fit because I'm going walking." No, you're not. You need to lift weights. And I tried to tell him without him paying me, which is a big mistake. So he thinks he knows it all, so I leave him to it, you know? So you've got to remember that as you age, you're going to lose your muscle mass. So you got to never sacrifice your intensity. So my bent over row, one arm with a dumbbell is 45 kilo. So if I go in the gym and I'm feeling a bit tired or a bit under the weather, I'll still do 45 kilo, but instead of 6 reps, I'll do 1 rep. So I'm not sacrificing my intensity. And this is how C.H.E.K and other guys still really strong in their 60s, because they're still training the same intensity but lowering the reps. Does that make sense? So they're going into speed and power more than what they are hypertrophy or endurance, or they may be doing a combination of all three in which to keep that muscle mass on the body. Does that make sense? They say we lose about, I think it's 3 to 6%. As you go past 30, your body starts to decline massively, you know? So I highly recommend buy a good distiller to have your own water on tap. Yeah, it's going to cost you 4 or 5p a day to, you know, depends on how much you get in, how much you drink. Mine's a 4-litre container, and I put it on at night, so it's cheaper for it to whiz around and purify the water. Then I add some minerals to the water as well, because it might have been robbed a little bit. And when you're using one of them, you may go for a slight detox again, so you've got to watch out for symptoms like headaches, not sleeping right, getting the trots, you know, and not feeling 100%, you know. So these are little signs you need to look out for, especially when you're converting to herbal teas. So hands down, they're saying herbal teas are really good for detoxifying, as well as free radicals, you know, helping with that. So helping you to slow down the aging process. You know, I'm 110, but I'm really 52, you know, but inside, I just feel I'm in my 20s still, you know, and that's why I still laugh, joke, dance and sing in the bath when nobody's around. No, I'm joking. You know, I still do all these things to keep young. The same as they're saying the science now, that if you learn something new as you're aging, it switches on more neurons in the brain and you get smarter. So that's probably why, you know, Paul, the genius stud, I call him, you know, is so smart because he's constantly learning. He's never stopped learning, and he's using his left and right brain by doing his artwork, then using his left brain by running his businesses, and then using his right brain by doing Tai Chi, and then using his left brain when he's writing down, you know, what he's doing in his sessions. Like I write everything down when I'm training as well, and I tick off what I've done. So then I can see if I've decreasing in muscle mass, increasing in muscle mass on my rep sets, loads and tempos, if that makes any sense. Right, I hope you've enjoyed this video about fluids. Remember, it's 0.33 times your body weight in ounces of water a day is how much fluid you need. Always add organic sea salt to your water. Now, they are putting out there that that pink sea salt is full of heavy metals. I think that's just nonsense. Himalayan salt, so that's still good to use, but I use French organic raw salt that is quite dark in colour. It's not white in colour, and I add that to my water every morning that I carry around with me. And I'll have a glass of water with the sea salt in it before I go to bed, and that stops cramping in the summer, especially if you're on creatine. Sometimes you can get cramping and stuff. So 0.33 times your body weight in ounces of water a day. Make sure you buy a distiller. They're about £180 off of Amazon. You have to buy these special cleaning products for it as well, but they last forever. It lasts a long time. And you'll be drinking clear water, or really clean water. The other thing that you can do is that you can buy an osmosis system for the home. Then that way you can drink your tap water without having a distiller. I haven't got osmosis in my home, but I am thinking about getting it, and because I shower a lot. I like to shower like probably twice a day, especially in this weather where you know, in between clients and stuff. I don't want to go to the client smelling a BO and all that, you know. My next video is going to be about toiletries, like the best soap, the best face cleansers to use, especially if you're a woman and you don't want to get blackheads and stuff like that. I'm going to talk about all that. I'm going to go out and buy the products that I've run out now. So I'm going to go and buy the products that I use on a regular basis, and then talk about that in the next video. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and you watched the video of me talking about Gavin Jenkins, who's an absolutely fabulous guy. I was shocked and stunned, and you know, sometimes you overthink things, and sometimes I do that, which can be good and can be bad. But he was brilliant. So I'm going to put a link there for that video, and there'll be another link to the video coming up there about the food that I eat, because somebody asked me to do a video on the food I eat, so I've uploaded that as well. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, please like, please share, and get drinking some great water and great teas. You know, remember, the solution to pollution is dilution. So by getting great fluids inside your system, you'll detoxify your body more and more. There is other more extreme detoxes that you can do that I'll talk about in another video. If you're thinking about doing a detox coming up to, you know, December, because you should do cleanses through the different seasons, and this is what you get to learn if you're a metabolic type and advisor level 2 like myself. Okay, thanks very much for listening. Please subscribe, please like, please share, and if you've got anything you want me to do a video on that's niggling you that you don't know about, then let me know. Thanks very much. Bye.